Did you know that wild rice isn't actually rice? It's the seed of an aquatic grass and it's packed with protein and fiber, making it a super healthy choice. Combine that with tender, flavorful braised beef and you've got a match made in culinary heaven. Hello everyone and welcome back to my kitchen. Today, we're diving into a dish that's the very definition of comfort food, a hearty hunter's stew. It's the kind of meal that warms you up from the inside out, perfect for those chilly evenings when you just need something wholesome and delicious. This isn't just any stew. It's a rich, savory, and incredibly satisfying dish that feels like a hug in a bowl. It's got tender chunks of beef, a medley of hearty vegetables, and that amazing wild rice all simmering together in a flavorful broth. We're going to create a stew so good it'll become a new family favorite, I promise. It's the perfect one-pot wonder to gather everyone around the table. So, if you're ready for some serious comfort cooking, stick around because you're going to love this recipe. Let's get started. We all know the struggle, right? You get home after a long day, you're hungry, and you're craving something that's both deeply satisfying and genuinely good for you. It's easy to fall into the trap of ordering takeout or making something quick that doesn't really hit the spot. The challenge is finding that perfect balance, a meal that feels like a treat but is also packed with nutrients. You want something that's hearty enough to fill you up, but you don't want to feel heavy or sluggish afterward. A lot of comfort foods can be loaded with empty calories, and many healthy meals can feel a bit, well, boring. Finding a recipe that delivers on flavor, texture, and nutrition can feel like searching for a needle in a haystack. Plus, who has the time for complicated recipes with a million different steps and a mountain of dishes to wash at the end? We're looking for that unicorn meal. Delicious, nutritious, comforting, and simple enough for a weeknight. It seems like a tall order, but that's exactly the problem we're going to solve today with this amazing hunter stew. It checks all the boxes and proves that you don't have to compromise on flavor to eat well. This recipe is the answer to that what's for dinner dilemma, giving you a restaurant-quality meal without the fuss or the hefty price tag. Let's talk about what makes this stew so incredible. First up, our star player, the beef. We're using about 2 pounds of beef chuck, cut into 1-inch cubes. This cut is perfect for braising because it has great marbling, which means it gets incredibly tender and flavorful as it cooks low and slow. We'll also need some all-purpose flour for dredging the beef, which helps create a beautiful crust and thickens our stew later on. For our aromatics, we have 1 large yellow onion, chopped, a couple of carrots, sliced, and a few celery stalks also sliced. This classic trio, a mirepoix, builds the foundational flavor of our stew. We'll also need about 4 cloves of garlic minced. Don't be shy with the garlic. For the liquid base, we're using a combination of beef broth, about 4 cups, and a cup of a dry red wine like a Cabernet Sauvignon or Merlot. The wine adds a wonderful depth and richness, but if you prefer to skip it, just use an extra cup of broth. For herbs, a couple of bay leaves and a teaspoon of dried thyme will add that classic earthy stew flavor, and of course the wild rice. We need 1 cup of uncooked wild rice. Remember to rinse it well before adding it to the pot. A little bit of tomato paste, about 2 tablespoons, will add a touch of sweetness and color. Finally, some olive oil for searing and salt and pepper to taste. Alright, let's get cooking. The first step is to sear our beef. In a large Dutch oven or heavy-bottom pot, heat a couple of tablespoons of olive oil over medium-high heat. While that's heating up, season your beef cubes generously with salt and pepper. Then toss them in a bowl with about a 1/4 cup of flour until they're lightly coated. Once the oil is shimmering, add the beef to the pot in a single layer. Don't overcrowd the pan. You might need to do this in 2 batches. We're not trying to cook the beef all the way through here, just get a deep, brown crust on all sides. This searing process is called the Maillard reaction, and it's what creates all that amazing complex flavor. Once all the beef is browned, remove it from the pot and set it aside on a plate. Now, in the same pot, add your chopped onion, carrots, and celery. Saute them for about 5 to 7 minutes until they've softened and the onion is translucent. Scrape up all those delicious brown bits from the bottom of the pot as you go. That's pure flavor. Next, add the minced garlic and cook for just another minute until it's fragrant. Be careful not to burn it. Then, stir in the tomato paste and cook it for a minute to deepen its flavor. Now it's time to deglaze the pan. Pour in the red wine and use a wooden spoon to scrape up any remaining brown bits from the bottom. Let the wine simmer and reduce by about half. This cooks off the alcohol and concentrates the flavor. Now, Return the seared beef and any juices from the plate back to the pot. Pour in the beef broth, add the bay leaves, thyme, and the rinsed wild rice. Give everything a good stir to combine. Bring the stew to a gentle simmer. Once it's simmering, reduce the heat to low, cover the pot, and let it cook for at least 2 hours. The key here is low and slow. This is where the magic happens. The beef will become fall-apart tender, the wild rice will cook through and absorb all those wonderful flavors, and the broth will thicken into a rich, savory gravy. After 2 hours, take a peek. The stew should be thick and bubbling gently. Look at that gorgeous, deep color. The aroma filling the kitchen right now is absolutely incredible. It's that rich, beefy, earthy smell of a perfect stew. You can see the wild rice has popped open and the vegetables have melted into the sauce. Grab a spoon and check the beef. It should be so tender that it practically falls apart when you touch it. This is the moment you've been waiting for. Fish out the bay leaves and give it a final taste. Adjust the seasoning with more salt and pepper if needed. At this point, you could also stir in some fresh parsley for a bit of brightness, but honestly, it's perfect just as it is. This is more than just a meal. It's an experience. The culmination of simple ingredients and a little bit of patience transformed into something truly special. Ladle this beautiful stew into a bowl and just take a moment to admire your work. It's thick, it's hearty, and it's calling your name. So there you have it, a hearty hunter stew that's packed with flavor, incredibly comforting, and surprisingly simple to make. We seared our beef for that deep flavor, built a savory base with our vegetables and wine, and let it all simmer slowly with wild rice until everything was perfectly tender and delicious. It's a true one-pot masterpiece. I'd love to know what you think of this recipe. Would you add anything different? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to watch my other videos. Check out the ingredients and instructions in my posts on my channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.